Good afternoon. Good after Saturday afternoon, day before Super Bowl Sunday. Hope everybody's had a good morning, afternoon, whatever you're at in this world that we're living in. I hope everything is going well. I've got a nice little basically recap of everything throughout the week. There was some stuff. I didn't go live yesterday. I wasn't feeling well. Um So I'm gonna also get caught up with yesterday's stuff. They caught the dude from one of the guys from Benghazi, so there'll be a press conference with that. Um, there's that news anchor, the grandma that's missing. We'll kind of look into that. Then there's just a bunch of different news. Elon Musk. Then of course you've got and I don't know too much about it at this moment. So, I know a little bit. I watched Trump himself talk about what's going on. As far as I guess there was a post that was made that might have offended Obama and Obama supporters. So we'll look into that first and we'll just move our way down. So, yeah, let's go. First off, let's change this pen. I bet. Let's go. Hit the like, share, subscribe, and let's get this party started.
We had very, very good talks today having to do with Russia, Ukraine. Something could be happening. We likewise had very good talks on Iran. Iran looks like it wants to make a deal very badly. We have to see what that deal is. But I think Iran looks like they want to make a deal very badly, as they should. Last time they decided maybe not to do it, but I think they probably feel differently. We'll see what the deal is. It'll be different than last time. And we have a big armada. We have a big fleet heading in that direction. We'll be there pretty soon. So we'll see how that works out. The stock market, as you know, broke a number that they thought was going to be impossible to break. Certainly during my first year, they said if you could do it in your fourth year, by the fourth year, we broke 50,000 on the Dow. Most people thought that was not possible to do so quickly. We did it in the first year. So we're about 3 years ahead of schedule. It's going good. Prices are way down. You don't hear the Democrats talking about affordability anymore, which they caused the affordability problem very badly. But you don't hear that word. I haven't heard that word spoken in a week and a half because they can't speak because the prices are down. Energy's down. If you look at oil, if you look at gasoline, a gallon of gasoline in Iowa, I was there last week, was $1.85, $1.89, and $1.99 at three different stations. And it's that way in a lot of places. So gasoline is way down, energy's down. Groceries are down. We've broken the Biden disaster, the mess that I inherited. The border is extremely secure, more so than it's ever been. We've got 9 months with zero people coming in illegally. And I think the immigration problem we're doing very well. And crime is at a record low for 125 years, just announced. The lowest has been since 1900. That's pretty good. That's a long time. So do you have any questions, John?
Mr. President, social media post that you took down earlier today, the White House says that a staffer sent it. Who sent it, and are you going to fire them?
No, I looked at it. I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud. And I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part, and it was really about voter fraud and the machines, how crooked it is, how disgusting it is. Then I gave it to the people generally they look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody didn't, and they posted, and we took it down, and we did it, But that was a voter fraud that nobody talks about. They don't like to talk about that post. We took it down as soon as we found out about it.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things, and I looked at the beginning of it. It was fine. And they had that one post, and I guess it was a takeoff. By the way, a lot of people covered. If you look at where it came from, I guess it was a takeoff on the Lion King, and certainly it was a very strong post in terms of voter fraud. Nobody knew that was at the end. If they would have looked, they would have seen it, and probably they would have had the sense to take it down. But that was a takeoff on the Lion King, and a lot of people were covered on in different positions. So, but I spoke to Tim Scott. He was great. Tim is a great guy. He understood that 100%. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner met with Iran's foreign minister today. You also had Brad Cooper there, the head of CENTCOM. A deal doesn't look like it's been reached yet. How long are you willing to wait?
I think a deal can be reached. Well, you have to get in position. We have plenty of time. If you remember Venezuela, we waited around for a while, and we're in no rush. We have, very good talks going with Iran. We have very good talks going with Russia and Ukraine. We're doing a lot of good talking, and I think we had the results today were with Iran. It was a meeting. We're going to meet again early next week, and they want to make a deal. Iran, as they should, want to make a deal. They know the consequences if they don't. If they don't make a deal, the consequences are very steep. So we'll see what happens. But they had a very good meeting with a very high representative of Iran, and we'll see how it all turns out.
We'll give it a ripe scoops.
See that. By the way, I'd love to see that. If we could do that, I'd love to see it.
Mr. President, is a deal that is acceptable that only covers with Iran? Is there a deal that only covers nuclear that would be acceptable to you? Because they just want to have nuclear. They don't want to have anything else.
Like that would be acceptable, but the one thing, and right up front, no nuclear weapons. If we could have made that deal 2 years ago, we would have made that deal, but they weren't willing to do that. Now they are willing to do it. So they're willing to do much more than they would have a year and a half ago, or even a year ago when don't forget, we've only been doing this for exactly 1 year. And we started with them a few months after the beginning of this term. This term has been amazing. But the results could surprise people. If they would have offered this deal originally when we first started, it would have been accepted immediately. We'll see what happens now.
Mr. President, a number of people in the MAGA base say they aren't satisfied with the administration just focusing on deporting violent criminals.
Who are you with?
I'm Natalie Ellison with the Washington Post.
Washington, but you're having a hard time getting readers. Washington Post is doing very poorly. Go ahead. You have a very bad attitude. Go ahead.
Well, a number of people in your base say that they want to see all illegal immigrants deported, even ones who are
Let me tell you
otherwise
about my
not
base. Let me tell you about my base. My base has never been stronger. My base is me and other very good people that love our country. And if you talk about my base or the MAGA base, you could call it a lot of America First base. They couldn't be more thrilled. We have crime down to the lowest level that has been in 125 years. We have a border that's totally closed. We have all the things that our base wanted, and we have the best economy in history. Prices are down. We inherited very high prices and the highest inflation in the history of our country. Think of it, the highest or 48 years. Some people say 48 years, but I'll take either one. So my base is very happy.
But would you support mass deportations of people who are otherwise law-abiding?
Killers, we're focusing, but ultimately, they all broke the law. Some can, if they do it in a certain way, they can go out, they can come back if they do it properly. But as you know, a lot of people have been deported, a lot. But the focus is on the murderers, the drug dealers. We have many people mentally insane. They dumped everything in our country. But ultimately, yeah, it's exactly as I said during the campaign. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you set the record straight? There were reports circulating that you told Chuck Schumer that in order to restore funding for the Gateway train tunnel in New York, New Jersey, you would want Penn Station and Dulles Airport to be named after you. Is that true?
Suggested that to me. Chuck Schumer suggested that to me about the name of separate. Dulles Airport is really not too involved with Congress. That's a separate kind of a deal, as you know. But it was suggested to me by numerous people, unions, Democrats, Republicans. A lot of people suggested. Nothing's been done on that.
President, you frequently criticize Joe Biden for not knowing what is going on in his name. This racist video that was posted on your social media.
I know a hell of a lot better than you do. You don't know what's going on. I know what's going on. No, Joe Biden didn't have a clue. But we know everything. And when you look at what's happening with our economy, and think of it, we're way years ahead of schedule. We have thousands and thousands of businesses being built right now. So Joe Biden had no clue. If Joe Biden were elected or if Kamala were elected, we wouldn't have a country right now.
You won the election because of minority voters. Does this post maybe hurt Republicans with, black voters after the?
I think look. We did criminal justice reform. I did the historically black colleges and universities. I got them funded. Nobody has been, and that's why I got the highest vote with male black voters that they've seen in many, many decades. I've done great with the black voters. Have been great to me. I've been great to them. Black voters have been great to me. I've been great to them. And I am, by the way, the least racist president you've had in a long time, as far as I'm concerned. We have, I've had a great relation. Think of what I've done. Criminal justice reform. Nobody else could do it. Obama couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Clinton couldn't do it. They actually went the other way. They went into a very bad thing for African American people, black people. They did very bad things. I did very good things. But criminal justice reform, and then I funded the universities, which nobody else was willing to do. They were going every year. They'd come back to Washington and they'd be begging for money, begging. I got to be friendly with some of the heads of the schools, and they would come back and they would literally tell me they're forcing us to beg. I'm the one that got them long-term financing and more than they were looking for. So there's nobody that's done more. And I think maybe more than anything else was criminal justice reform. They've been trying to get it for years, and I'm the one that got it done. So nobody can tell me about that. That somebody posts a staffer, post. And I knew it was all about, if you take a look at that and see the whole thing, it was a small section at the very end, but that was about fraudulent elections, which we have a lot of them. We're going to get it stopped. And I liked the beginning. I saw it and just passed it on. And I guess probably nobody reviewed the end of it, because what I saw at the beginning was really, really strong. It was about fraudulent elections. And anytime I see that stuff, and when it's credible, you put it up. But somebody slipped and missed a very small part. Now, by the way, again, a takeoff on, I guess, I didn't do it, by the way. This was done by somebody else. This was a retruth. That was not done by us. But that was a very strong truth. It was a very strong statement made about the fraudulent elections in a certain part of our country, which are really bad.
Mr. President,
You promised Savannah Guthrie's family the full support of federal law enforcement. FBI is now.
I'll give you a little statement. I think we're doing very well on that regard. You're probably surprised to hear that. I think we're doing very well. Very well, meaning we have some clues, I think, that are very strong. And I think we could have some answers coming up fairly soon.
Is this a nationwide search? Is this a search going to Mexico?
I'm not talking about a search. I'm talking about a solution. We have some things I think that will maybe come out reasonably soon from DOJ or FBI or whoever that could be
Suspect?
could be definitive.
So you
A lot's taken place in the last couple of hours. A lot of things have happened with regard to that horrible situation in the last couple of hours.
Mr. President,
Mr.
at the
President.
very least, do you condemn the racist parts of the video?
Of course I do. Yeah.
The Dow and S&P have done really well under you, Mr. President.
Who?
The Dow and S&P have done very well
Yeah.
under you. Do you think that there's still more?
Everything's done well.
Do you think there's still more?
Everything. What hasn't done well?
Do you think there's still more to do for Americans who can't afford to invest in the stock market?
Well, I brought prices way down. You don't hear it anymore. You know, when I first came in, the Democrats were screaming affordability, and I just got there. Remember eggs? Because eggs were up 4 times higher than they ever were. And that was, I think my first press conference was about 3 days in, and they were screaming about eggs. I said, I didn't do it. They did it. We got the eggs down. We got the groceries down. We got it all down. It's really going good. Now we have interest rates. We have a great new Fed person coming in, hopefully soon. Interest rates are trending downward, even without that. And it's been amazing. I mean, we have potentially the greatest economy in history. If you look at what's happened, $18 trillion. We have $18 trillion coming in. No other country's gotten anywhere near that. No other country. China, nobody. And I think we have potentially the greatest. And you're going to see that when these factories that are being up, we have car plants, AI plants, many plants, and thousands of businesses right now are being built. When they start opening up in a year from now, less than a year from now, it's going to be something that I don't think we've ever witnessed before in this country. Nobody's ever seen investment like this. We have never seen anything like it. So it's very exciting. But when you add that to the best crime numbers we've ever had, when you add that to so many other things, the wall, as an example, we had a border that was out of control. 25 million people came in during 4 years of Biden. We have nobody coming in. They come in, but they come in legally. They have to come in legally. Our country's doing really well.
Mr. President, you're suing the federal government about your taxes.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is it fair to ask the American people to pay for that?
Well, anything I win, I'm going to give 100% to charity.
But that still takes it from the American people.
No, because they give money to charity anyway. They give away $40 billion a year to charity, our government. You know, our government gives away $40 billion plus a year to charity. So anything I win from that, but when they go and release your tax returns, which is totally illegal, people go to jail for that. And they've already found the person that did it. And as you know, they got in big trouble. And based upon that and other things we did sue. And anything I win, I'm giving 100% to charity. Really good, very, very good and respected charities.
Do you decide if you win?
The Winter Olympics begin this weekend, Mr. President.
It's gonna be great. I just spoke to Marco Rubio. I just spoke to J.D. Vance. They're over in Italy and representing us very well. They're doing a great job.
Did you see that the Vice President got booed during the opening ceremony, though? What do you make of that sort of frosty? The Vice President got booed during the opening ceremony. What do you make of that frosty?
No, I didn't see that. Is that true? Is that right?
Yeah.
It's surprising because people like him. Well, I mean, he is in a foreign country, in all fairness, but he doesn't get booed in this country.
Is there a particular sport you're interested in seeing?
In the Super Bowl, who are you going for?
What, the game?
The Super Bowl, yeah.
I can't say that. But they are really two good teams. Very interesting because you had one quarterback who looks like he wasn't going to make it, and he made it. And then you have another one who's young, and they probably wish they played him last year, right? He's done great. But you have two great teams. And Bob Kraft is a fabulous owner, a friend of mine. New England's amazing that they're there. Who would think? It's like a second, you can't say dynasty yet. They had a dynasty. You have to win a lot of games before you create another one. But I think it's going to be a great game. There's a lot of interesting storylines. That'll be very
What's
interesting.
your message to the many Americans who were offended by the video? What do you want to tell those
Well, I have no
Americans?
message. I didn't know about it, so I mean, it went up. I really have no message. All I know is, here's my message. And our country has never been in a position like this. We were a laughing stock all over the world, and now we're a country that's respected more than we've ever been respected before. If you go back a year and a half ago, our country was a laughing stock, and now we're respected all over the world, like probably almost never before. I would say maybe like never before. And, it's if you look at from an economic standpoint, the King of Saudi Arabia said it, others said it, we were not a country that was even thought of as a country that was going to make it back. And in 1 year, we're the hottest country. We are right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. So that's my message. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay, that was Trump talking about being addressed and things going on. We will now move to Bondi and Kash Patel and the FBI. They yesterday had a press conference regarding the capture of somebody from Benghazi. I can't pronounce his name, so I have to say it. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for popping in. And let's go.
This morning. He is in our custody. He was greeted by Director Patel and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. Hillary Clinton famously once said about Benghazi, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, it makes a difference to Donald Trump. It makes a difference to those families. And 14 years later, it makes a difference to law enforcement who made the difference in this case. Thank you, President Trump, for supporting all of our agencies around the country and around the world. Abakush will now face American justice on American soil. We will prosecute this alleged terrorist to the fullest extent of the law. He'll face charges related to murder, terrorism, arson, among others. Let this case serve as a reminder. If you commit a crime against the American people anywhere in this world, President Trump's Justice Department will find you. It might not happen overnight, but it will happen. You can run, but you cannot hide. We are immensely grateful to our partners, especially at the State Department and the CIA, who lost lives in the Benghazi attack. Director Patel and the FBI agents did tireless work to track and arrest this man. I want to thank everyone standing behind me, all the agents who worked so great with our lawyers, with our national security lawyers and around the world. And I have a statement to read from Director Radcliffe. He wanted to be here. He couldn't be here. He's busy protecting our world. He's deeply grateful for the relentless efforts of the Department of Justice and the FBI to bring justice to the individual allegedly responsible for the death of Americans in the horrific 2012 Benghazi attack. CIA and the nation will never forget the extraordinary services and sacrifices of Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty, who gave their lives in defense of others and exemplified the very best of our agency. I'd now like to turn it over to Director Patel for remarks. And I again want to thank him for his relentless work in this case.
General, thank you. And I want to steal one of your lines. Never forget. Pam never forgot. The president never forgot. This FBI never forgot. And certainly U.S. Attorney Pirro never forgot. When an act of terrorism of this magnitude strikes at the heart of our nation, we go to work. President Trump has given us the full resources at the FBI and across the interagency to make sure we deliver justice. And Pam, you're right. Dan and I did sit down early on about this to bring justice, but you led the effort. You brought together the interagency. You said we are going to get this done because no one agency alone can do it. So we are thankful to have an Attorney General at the Department of Justice who works together with every single cabinet secretary and enforce the law. What you saw today, and I want to get, or what you're going to see today, I want to address in a minute, but I want to remind the folks out there.
Open a Chime checking account in 2 minutes. We'll spot you up to $200. Apply now.
The work of this Department of Justice. We were here just a few short months ago talking about how we were going to raise the RFJ for another violent offender on the run, Ryan Wedding. And what did we do under Attorney General's leadership? And what do we do when President Trump said, go get the worst of the worst? We captured him. We captured together under President Trump's leadership 6 of the FBI's most wanted fugitives in 1 calendar year. To put that in perspective, that is 2 more than the entirety of the prior administration. And you cannot do that alone at the FBI. You have to have an attorney general and a Department of Justice willing to prosecute, willing to go to the four corners of the earth and make sure we deliver justice. And that's what we're doing here today. I was at the airfield with U.S. Attorney Pirro earlier this morning when we did the formal foreign transfer of custody of Bakush into U.S. custody to face prosecution under her auspices and her office. And the Department of Justice are going to execute justice for the fallen. As a young prosecutor at CTS in the National Security Division, I worked on the Benghazi case. This was very near and dear and personal to me. We lost 4 brave Americans in Chris, Sean, Kyle, and Steve. And we can never, ever, ever forget them. Ever. And we will not. In order to put something like this together, it doesn't happen overnight. The FBI's hostage rescue team, the FBI's critical incident response group, our special flight operations unit, and countless others, along with the New York field office who never forgot Benghazi and never let the world forget it, endured over a decade to bring yet another terrorist who killed 4 Americans to justice. That is a relentless pursuit of mission that can only happen when you have an interagency who's willing to get after it. I'm extremely thankful to the CIA and Director Ratcliffe and our other law enforcement partners for making sure that the world knows that if you kill an American citizen in an act of terrorism, we will hunt you down. We will bring you to justice, and you will face justice here in America, not in another court and not in any other proceeding around the world, but here. You killed our own, so we are going to take it to the streets to make sure you are held accountable. Once again, I'd really like to thank the entirety of the FBI, headquarters divisions. There are so many moving pieces to actually execute a foreign transfer of custody. And now we're talking about the 7th, the 3rd in just a couple of weeks. And I don't know if that has ever happened before in U.S. history. It's happening because President Trump backs the blue. President Trump has given law enforcement the resources we need to take the fight across the world. And the Attorney General has been relentless in her mission to make sure that these victims are remembered and that we bring them some semblance of peace by bringing those who killed their loved ones to justice. It's a little full circle for me. Yes, then Director Deputy Bongino and I did sit down and said, how are we going to get this guy? How are we going to find the individual responsible for the Benghazi attacks? And we sat down with Jeanine Pirro, and we sat down with the AG and her team and the Deputy Attorney General. And every single day, every single week, we talked about how we would do it. And we're here today because we have an interagency that is led by superior individuals who have one shared goal: protecting America and our lives and our future. And to any others out there who wish to do harm, especially commit acts of terrorism here and around the world, this is the feat you will meet. You will not be forgotten by us. We will chase you down. And it is a privilege and an honor to be the director of the FBI and come full circle for me, especially on this Benghazi case, especially with the families I know so well. And for me to you, the families, I just want to personally say, I continue to pray for you. I hope that we can give you a little bit of peace in the utmost difficult of times when you've lost loved ones. And I just want to thank President Trump for delivering that peace and that modicum of justice. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Director. And it's now my honor to introduce the woman who will be prosecuting this alleged terrorist, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro.
Thank you, Attorney General. 14 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a scene unfolded in a foreign land in one of the most dangerous places in the world for Americans, Benghazi, Libya. An American ambassador, elite military personnel, and a State Department employee were all violently murdered. For 13 hours, the American cavalry never came. For 13 hours, they waited for help that never came. Today, President Trump is making sure that American justice is coming for those individuals responsible for the deaths of those 4 Americans. Bakush is now on U.S. soil because of the President, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel. The FBI, the Department of Justice, never forgot. There are prosecutors in this room right now who have been in the office for 13 years and have consistently handled this matter in this case. This department will never forget the seemingly forgotten in that outpost in Benghazi. Bakush was first charged by complaint in 2015, which was sealed for 11 years. An 8-count indictment, has been unsealed, and it charges Bakush with the murder of Ambassador Chris Stevens, the murder of State Department employee Sean Smith, the attempted murder of State Department Special Agent Scott Wickland, and conspiracy to provide materials for terrorists and support that resulted in the death of 4 Americans, as well as arson at the special mission. I don't have to go through all of the facts, but every one of us remembers this case. I reported on it when I worked at Fox. I had relationships, as Kash Patel just said, with the families. And last night, as soon as they were in custody, because of Pam and because of Kash, we had a limited unsealing order from Judge Cooper that allowed me to speak to the family members to let them know that justice was coming for Bakush. I spoke with Sean Smith's mother, who I've known for years and have communicated with for years. I spoke with Tyrone Woods' widow, Dr. Dorothy Woods. I spoke with Ambassador Chris Stevens' family, as well as Glenn Doherty's brother, Greg, as well as his widow. These were people who never expected that justice would be coming. They never knew about the determination in this room and behind me and the incredible work of the FBI along this case for years and years, because this was something that mattered.
Rules, commands, MCP servers, subagents, modes, hooks, tools. There's a lot of stuff. And
the Benghazi saga was a painful one for Americans. It has stayed with all of us. And let me be very clear, there are more of them out there. Time will not stop us from going after these predators, no matter how long it takes, in order to fulfill our obligation to those families who suffered horrific pain at the hands of these violent terrorists. And now, I again want to tell everyone that American justice is here, that President Trump will make sure that the cavalry comes for Americans, no matter where they are in this world. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
I have a on topic and an off topic. Sure. Tell us a little bit about how he was captured, where he was captured. Was he in jail for a while before? Was he at home? What can you tell us about how this all went down?
We're not going to give out a lot of the details, but I'm going to let Kash take what we can say.
The general's right. We have to protect the integrity of the investigation and the ongoing prosecution. That's of the utmost importance. It always is, to make sure even this individual receives the constitutional protections only afforded in the United States of America. But an FTOC, a foreign transfer of custody, is executed by the FBI each and every time with special tactical assets, FBI agents, and of course, medical personnel. And that was done in this instance. And the individual was apprehended and transferred over the night and into custody early this morning at an airfield. And so that's about all we can say on that matter. But in order to maintain the chain of custody, this is what the FBI does, routine, every time. It's what we did for the 6 top 10 we already captured. It's what we did for the relentless others that we continue to capture.
Was he picked up in Libya?
He was picked up overseas.
And then if I could just ask you 2 quick off topics. Obviously, this terrible tragedy we're watching in Arizona with Nancy Guthrie. I understand you know Savannah Guthrie. What is the federal government doing right now? Is the FBI now leading the investigation, taking it over from the locals?
We're doing everything to assist the locals. We're working with the locals. Breaks my heart for Savannah and for her family. I know she's asked for all of our prayers. So please pray for her beautiful mom, pray for her family that she's returned home that's all we can say about that at this time. But yeah, I've known Savannah for over 30 years, and it's breaking my heart.
If I may, there seems to be a little confusion with DNI Gabbard was down in Atlanta last week for the Fulton County search. Originally, this office said that she was not part of the investigation. She put in a letter to Congress that President Trump directed her to do so. And then now President Trump yesterday said that it was at your insistence that she went down there. So what is the case here?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. It's that's interesting because DNI Gabbard and I are inseparable. We are constantly together, as are the people behind us. We constantly talk. We collaborate as a cabinet. We're all extremely close, know what each other, what we're doing at all times, pretty much, to keep not only our country safe, but our world safe. And she was down there with Deputy Director Andrew Bailey of the FBI. And that's, I'm not going to talk about any other details of that matter right now because Georgia's a very important issue to us. She was there. We're inseparable. That's all I'll say.
Mike, let me see.
Can you say, was there foreign involvement in the capture of this suspect? What kind of assistance did you get from other countries?
I'm going to let Director Patel take that. I think we're not going to be able to say a lot on that matter as well. But and to you personally, I'm so sorry you and your NBC family are going through this right now.
We appreciate it.
As the general said, in order to execute an apprehension, a capture, and a foreign transfer of custody, no one agency alone can do it. We did it throughout the interagency here. And of course, we're working with partners overseas. And we're not going to get into the details of those conversations and those ongoing matters because as the U.S. Attorney indicated to you, we're not done. And so what we want to do is maintain not just the integrity of this investigation, but the possibility and the promise of bringing more individuals to justice for this heinous act of terror.
Thanks. We have time for a couple more. We have something else going on at 10 o'clock down there.
Yeah, so on Benghazi, what did the communication look like between the Trump administration, the victims' families throughout this process, if any? I know someone has heard of Sue Clinton during, in the early days of this, but what's the communication look like with them?
I think what I can say now is that do you want to take that, Director? We've had to keep everything very quiet for obvious reasons up until this point. And then U.S. Attorney Pirro, as she said, contacted all the families, and I think they were absolutely thrilled. I think they had probably lost faith that something would happen. But again, we never forget. Donald Trump never forgets. So, yeah. And we have a 10 o'clock in our office. That's a very positive if anyone would like to join us on that. So thank you. Go ahead.
That the DNI, the Tulsi Gabbard's presence in Atlanta during a law enforcement search, are you concerned at all that could taint whatever the FBI is doing and whatever findings come from that investigation?
Absolutely not. And Andrew Bailey was taking the lead down there. He's Director Patel's Deputy Director of the FBI. Thank you all. Thanks.
Hit the like, share, subscribe. Now we're going to run through just some news. Elon Musk. I want to do the Guthrie thing because I'm not very familiar with it like everybody else might be. I'm not as much. I know what's going on, but I don't know too much details.
That's to go over when you get Canada.
It's hold on. It's going up.
Say you're not allowed to play ice hockey anymore. That's not good. Canada's not going to like that.
President Trump with a warning there to UK Prime Minister relationships and investments with Xi Jinping. He also secured visa-free travel for British citizens to China and a $13 billion investment by AstraZeneca to build new facilities in China. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, interesting development here. I think we've seen this movie before. What's your take?
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
Beijing humiliated Starmer during that visit. We saw it during the communique in which it was very dismissive of the British Prime Minister. And when Starmer visited the Forbidden City, they didn't clear it. He looked like an ordinary tourist, like he looked when he traveled the water very much out of the Chinese. I mean, yes, they did reduce the tariff on whiskey to 5% from 10%. That probably doesn't have very much of a material effect. But it was Starmer, the one bearing gifts to China, including that investment by AstraZeneca. And by the way, it's a really bad idea for Western companies to help China improve its biotech, because we know they use that for their weapons programs. And COVID, we should have learned what that was about. That was 7 million people outside China died from a disease, which looks like it came from a Chinese biological weapons program. And we know the Chinese deliberately spread it beyond their borders.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, look, is this a reaction to what he's facing in the United States? Is Xi thinking that he's going to get even more, opportunities in Britain with this, and how you think this plays out?
I think it plays out, there's a lot of hand-wringing about Western leaders trooping over to China and bowing and scraping, which they've been doing, especially since December with Emmanuel Macron, Carney, Starmer, and Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor, is going there this month, actually. But, the Chinese are going to treat them poorly. The Chinese economy is crumbling. The regime is falling out from under Xi Jinping. And so, the Chinese are going to lash out. And so eventually all of this is going to end up with the West reuniting, because it will have to. But in the meantime, it doesn't look good. And I hope President Trump starts to repair relations with our traditional allies so this doesn't happen in the first place.
Well, I got to tell you, I love this one story about the Panama ports. The Trump administration, with a major national security win here against Beijing, Panama's Supreme Court ruling that Hong Kong-based C.K. Hutchinson's contract to oversee and rule those two ports along the Panama Canal is unconstitutional. This obviously opens the door for a BlackRock-led consortium to acquire those ports, which they've been trying to do, insert American control back in there, Gordon. I spoke with Victoria Coates about it yesterday, from a national security advisor, and here's what she said. Watch this.
They were saying, oh, no, there's no Chinese influence. There's no problem with China. It's an economic decision. Well, no, that got reversed this week because of the sustained engagement of the Trump administration and the president himself. He knows how vital the Panama Canal is to our economy. If you want to shut us off, shut off the canal. It's intolerable that China would control those ports. And now the Panama Supreme Court has declared that contract null and void. The Danish company Maersk is going to come in, and then we'll see if BlackRock takes them over.
Do you think this opens up the opportunity for BlackRock to acquire those ports? Because we thought that they were going to be able to, but then China stopped them. And China has been very effective at infiltrating ports all across the world.
The Australians may now be nationalizing that port to kick the Chinese out. Haifa in Israel, Piraeus in Greece. This is a terrible problem. And a lot of it is Hutchinson, which was a fairly benign Hong Kong-based country when they were under British rule. Now they're under CCP rule. It's become an extension of the Communist Party. They can't be trusted. They have to go.
What do you think, Gordon?
Oh, well, Panama was certainly a win, and it's attributable to the Trump administration. That case was started by activists, but we saw the Panamanian Attorney General come in on the side of the activists after President Trump made it clear that China had to leave the canal zone. So this was directly attributable to Trump administration policy. But remember that, getting the Hutchison out of those two ports, that's really important. But China is still there. So, for instance, China is building the fourth bridge over the canal. And remember, it's easy to block the canal if you can bring down the bridge. So we want the Chinese out of that fourth bridge and out of all of its other operations in the canal zone. So there's a lot more to do there.
Mm-hmm. And what about this shakeup in Chinese military? I mean, look, the Journal is writing this since mid-2023. At least 60 senior military officers and defense industry executives have been placed under investigation. They've been either removed from public office, they've abruptly been replaced. Among them, top officers in the China Army, the Air Force, Navy, Rocket Force, the paramilitary police, as well as major theater commands, including the one focused on Taiwan, Gordon. As you know, I've reported in the past that Xi Jinping has not been in control of his army for some time now. What's your take on this most recent shakeup?
Now a local tax expert will do your taxes for $150 all in.
Yeah, this leaves the Chinese military in disarray when you take out the #1 uniformed officer and the two most senior officers who are basically the only people on the Central Military Commission with wartime experience. They were participated in the 1979 invasion of Vietnam. So the Chinese military right now has had its chain of command severed. This is really interesting because, you know, a lot of media says, well, Xi Jinping has been getting rid of his people. Well, I think a lot of the dismissals have been caused by Xi Jinping's adversaries getting rid of Xi Jinping's loyalists, including General Hu Weidong, who is reported to have been suicided last May. So there's just turmoil, and it's not clear that Xi Jinping is responsible for much of this turmoil, which means that Xi Jinping has indeed lost control of the military. He's now struggling to get it back. We don't know where this is at the moment, but really it is uncertain. And, you know, your reporting was spot on in the beginning.
Wow, this is incredible. I mean, I've heard the term he's been disappeared, but suicided? Wow, this is just dangerous stuff. Beijing also moving to build a space-based AI data center within the next 5 years. We've done this and the importance of space in my Fox Nation specials on space. Your thoughts on now its efforts here to build that there?
China's putting a lot of money into its space efforts, but they're behind the U.S. We're going to see probably this month, maybe next month, Artemis 2 launched, and it will circle the moon or fly by the moon. And we're also going to probably have a U.S. landing on the moon next year, 2028, according to NASA. China will be at least 1 or 2 years behind. The United States is well ahead in not only the race to the moon, but the more important race, which is the race for the moon, which means putting colonies at the South Pole of the moon, which is the most desirable location there. And we're ahead because of a guy named Elon Musk, because he's got SpaceX, they've got the heavy lifters, they're reusable, and China is at least 3 or 4 years behind on the lifters. And that is critical in order to colonize the moon.
Yeah.
It's the race for the moon, not the race to the moon, which is important.
Very important, and that's because President Trump understands the importance of space. It's where our satellites are, and it's a national security issue. We know that. Gordon, always great to catch up. Thank you so much.
Steve Witkoff is going to meet with the Iranian foreign minister on Friday. What are you hoping he'll get out of that meeting?
Well, you're going to have a lot of things are happening. You have Iran, and you have Russia, Ukraine, and you have the Middle East. We have a lot of things going. We have ships heading to Iran right now, big ones. Biggest and the best. And we have talks going on with Iran. We'll see how it all works out.
President Trump confirming Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will meet with Iran's foreign minister on Friday to begin new talks on a new nuclear deal. Both sides reportedly hopeful on coming to an agreement and avoiding any kind of military action. Still, though, the president sending a, quote, armada of military assets to the Middle East, now in striking distance to Iran. New satellite imagery reveals some activity at multiple Iranian nuclear facilities, which were destroyed by the United States and Israel last year, we thought. Nuclear sites seen covered by roofs as Iranian officials assess the damage. Joining me now is Fox News senior strategic analyst and Institute for the Study of War chairman, General Jack Keane. General, always a pleasure. Welcome back.
Yeah, delighted to be here, Maria.
So what is your assessment of this armada now in striking distance of Iran?
Yeah, well, first of all, it is significant. And I think what's happening here certainly is President Trump has an historic opportunity here that none of the other 7 presidents who have dealt with Iran have had. And it's largely due to his own making, frankly. In the first administration, he killed the iconic figure Qasem Soleimani and absolutely rocked the regime in doing that. And no one prior to that had ever retaliated against Iran for killing Americans over the 45-plus year history of the Iranian regime. He was the first and only to do that. And then he fully supported the Israelis in their 12-day war and also their war in Gaza and delivered a decisive blow to the nuclear program that you just happened to mention that. And what has happened as a result of that? Given the pressure that's on the regime economically, largely the United States pressure with allies, their economy is tanked. It is in this most serious condition it's ever been in, and that is really what put the thousands of protesters on the street. They're fed up with the regime. They want a new regime. But also, they're weak politically and weak militarily. Politically, when the 12-day war was going on, Russia and China did not come to their assistance. Hamas could not assist them. And Hezbollah, who was organized, 160,000 rockets and missiles, 60 to 70,000 troops, organized for the first and foremost reason of defending Iran, never fired a shot to defend them. Their will was broken, is what the Israeli senior generals told me. So they are politically weakened than they've ever been. So what does that mean? That we're on the cusp of using a military operation to be able to finish this regime once and for all, to put it on a path where it's going to collapse. And what you're seeing here is a force being built to, one, be able to defend when Iran conducts a retaliation attack against U.S. bases and also against Israel, but two, to have the offensive punch to really conduct not a strike, but a campaign against Iran, which would likely last not for a couple of days, but actually longer than that. And that means to take down their civilian and military leadership, all these repressive organizations, to include the IRGC, that have been punishing the people, killing somewhere between 10 to 30,000. We don't know the exact number, but even the lower number is completely staggering. 40,000 jailed as a result of it. And also destroy their ballistic missile systems, which they have been managing to recover since June. And I would imagine, given the indication that you just made, Maria, about activity at the nuclear sites, that they would finish off whatever recovery Iran is doing. This is a comprehensive plan to actually take Iran off the board. No president has had this opportunity. This president does.
Yeah, I mean, he's keeping us guessing, and certainly the people of Iran are desperate for some action. They want the Trump administration to come in and take out the Khomeini leadership here and the whole administration there. Would you advise taking out whatever's left of the nuclear, taking out whatever's left of ballistic missiles, or taking out the Khomeini administration altogether, or all three?
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. You would take down the leaders, we take down the organization that is supporting the leaders, the military, the police, the entire ecosystem that supports them, ballistic missiles, and the nuclear capability. Okay. There's a range of targets there to take out, and that is building the offensive capability to do that. Supported by maritime capability, we have brought in multiple squadrons of air power that are on the bases in the region, and there's more to come into the region to be able to accomplish what would be a comprehensive campaign to finish this regime once and for all.
Let me move on to Cuba. In general, President Trump is now holding talks with the top leadership in Cuba days after declaring a national emergency related to Havana's, quote, unusual and extraordinary threat to the United States. The president said he's also weighing a total blockade on oil imports to the Caribbean country. Here's the president yesterday. Watch this.
It's a failed nation now, and they're not getting any money from Venezuela, and they're not getting any money from anywhere. It's a failed nation. Mexico is going to cease sending them oil. So I'd like to take care of the people that are here from Cuba. You know, we have many people that came from Cuba that were thrown out of Cuba or that fled Cuba. I mean, they came over on rafts. They went through shark-infested waters. I don't know how they did it. And it was many years ago. Many would like to go back. Many would like to at least visit their relatives.
Are you researching dental implants?
There's a lot of dental offices that'll talk about doing their teeth in the day.
And I think we're at a pretty close point. We are dealing with the Cuban leaders right now.
What's your take here, General? We know that
Well, this is not about military.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is not about military action. This is about economic pressure and squeezing Cuba, and certainly shutting down Venezuelan oil, which is helping to prop them up, is going to be a factor. Russia hasn't been able to provide Cuba the assistance that they were normally getting, which was a free hand donation, so to speak, in billions of dollars. Why? Because of the war in Ukraine that they created. So Cuba is in trouble here economically. And I would imagine what the president and his team are going to do is continue to squeeze them and move them in the right direction to make some fundamental change as a result of that. Listen, the Cuban people in the United States, and certainly the Cuban people themselves, I mean, this is 66 years here of this. I mean, this is really outrageous, the amount of time that they've been under this communist dictatorship. And look what has happened to them.
Yeah.
No substantive trade whatsoever. No opportunities for investment whatsoever. It's pitiful what this communist regime has done to the people of Cuba. And the promises, when they overthrew a dictator, the promises were so high, the expectations were so high in terms of a fundamental change of life.
Yeah.
And all of that was a bold-faced lie. And that's what's so tragic here.
Yeah, good lessons.
I think the president's team is moving in the right direction here.
All right.
Pressure this regime, maximum pressure.
Yep. General, it's great to talk with you as always. Thanks so much, sir.
Yeah, great talking to you, Maria.
All right.
Thank you.
General Jack Keane.
And we welcome back to the show my good friend and mentor, Newt Gingrich, former House Speaker, Fox News contributor. Newt, thanks for coming back on. I want to talk to you about this. There's an economic boom. The tariff story, is working probably better than almost anybody thought possible. You've got huge tax refunds. You've been writing about it. We've been writing about it. You've got this Trump accounts where everybody's going to get $1,000, no matter who you are, where you came from. A lot of really positive things. Okay, the economy is growing like topsy. Why can't Republicans seem to win elections? The latest one, I know it's a state Senate election in Texas, but it seemed like the numbers, Trump carried it easily, and he just seems to have what's wrong with the GOP at this point? Why can't they seem to knock out some victories?
In my entire career, the Republican Party has worked at being inarticulate and unable to.
I'm going to the next one. I'll come back to this. I'm going to the next one because I want to know about this. I don't want to end the stream yet. All right, let's see what's up with this. I have Ted Cruz going off in Minnesota. That's the one I want to play. I should just go to that. I might redo another stream before I do that one. All right, let's go.
On Saturday night. We've talked to so many. I'm sure that my investigators have feelings about this one's clear or this one isn't, but no, I wouldn't say anybody's ruled out yet, because what if I rule you out and then later I learn something else? No.
So my follow-up, you mentioned that you don't know where the recording of a forced entry came from. Do we know how whoever did this got into her house?
That I would not discuss with you anyway.
Fox News, Paul Morrow.
Question for Agent Edwards, if I may. Agent Edwards, will the Bureau be submitting the DNA for investigative genealogical investigation relative to maybe getting a relative, somebody if you will?
I would say the DNA aspect of this case is being handled by the Pima County Sheriff's Department right now. However,
should we get to that point, yes, that would be an option for the FBI to assist.
And a quick follow-up, does the ransom note that you're working establish any communication protocols in it?
If someone has Nancy and is demanding the ransom, that there is communication with the family. We talked about has been no proof of life, and there was no other demands within that letter. So they're still waiting for communication.
Darren Porcher and former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker. All right, Nicole, let's go to you because I'm sure that the FBI is looking into this. These reports of a ransom note that were emailed to KOLD, which is a CBS affiliate there in Tucson, and to TMZ in California, which is a Fox property. What have you heard about the veracity of these ransom notes, and what do you believe the federal investigators would be looking into regarding this?
Those ransom notes are extremely important, the emails. And in fact, the way that they were transmitted via email, that is very indicative of certain things that they intended to do. But that does give law enforcement another layer of investigative tools because they can go in and dissect the technical metadata behind the emails. And I know that they're working on doing that right now. In addition to that, within the actual ransom note, there is the content, and the behavioral analysis unit from the FBI, they are the best. And they go in and they do a full statement analysis, and they determine, based on the wording and the verbiage that was used, they determine how it's best to reply to it. And so I have no doubt that they were heavily involved. That's something that we often do in our investigations. We'll take information, we'll go to BAU, and they'll say, look, this is the best way to do it. This is the best way to word it. So I have a very strong feeling that the Guthrie family has been working in coordination with the FBI and other law enforcement agencies as they delivered that message last night. And again, the way that it was transmitted on Instagram, I've noted before, I don't think that's a coincidence. Instagram is a platform which has a very broad audience, right? If it was just NBC, or if it's just Fox, or if it's just a certain network, it limits it. But Instagram, many millions and millions of people use that platform. So the person that may be abducting this individual, Nancy Guthrie, hopefully is getting the word. They are getting the message that the family wants to talk to you. They want to cooperate. They want to start opening the lines of communication. But again, the FBI is going to be looking at, is this a hoax? Is this a false flag? Is it real? And so those are the three options. Now they've communicated back to the public, and let's see how long it takes to get a response, if they get a response.
Yeah, we obviously are about to get more details here, hopefully a lot more when this news conference begins shortly. Darren, this was an interesting moment on the Today Show coverage of this morning. Jim Kavanaugh is a retired Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosive Special Agent. He was on Today Show earlier, and he provided, based on his experience with this in circumstances like this analysis. Listen.
Not sure if you saw the news, but Fox News is claiming President Trump is declining in the polls. And President Trump responded, says Fox News polls can't be trusted. So now Newsmax is conducting its own poll on President Trump's job performance. It takes just a minute to vote, so let us know if you think President Trump is doing a good job. We at Newsmax want to know your opinion. Again, the QR code's there, as well as the website. Make your voice heard and vote today.
They went to a lot of effort to break in, to assault Nancy, to take her away, to hide her out. They went to a whole lot of effort. And now they have to close their circle for their goal, and that is they have to communicate. So the best thing they can do, their best options, the abductors, is to release Nancy, leave her at the foot of a church somewhere, a store, or take the step to communicate to see if you can reach your goal.
I mean, I don't know how to say this, Darren, but it almost...
I'm not trying to get further into it. I think I'm going to re-kick it and start with different topics. I think I have maybe too many topics in one, and maybe it's effing up the algorithm. I'm not sure, bro. But I'm definitely going to re-kick it. It seems to not be really wanting to move like it should. So I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. Everybody come back through. It's good to see you, Bez. It's good to see you, Mimsy. Salty. Good to see you, bro. Y'all come back in. Y'all see me soon. It'll be not too long. Much love, y'all. Have a blessed day. If you don't come in, stay safe out there, and I will see you. But I'm really just gonna reset, go eat some food real fast, and pop right back on. So much love, deuces. Stay blessed. Later, y'all.